people always wonder what's the difference between taking a permanent job opportunity in accountancy and finance versus taking a contractual job opportunity in accounting and finance. Which of these particular role types is best for you and which of them is worth your while? Well, luckily, I've done both of them. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things you need to consider when thinking about whether or not to take a job opportunity in accountancy and finance on a permanent basis or whether or not to do it on a contractual basis so that you can make the best decision for you. So for those of you that are unaware, if you're taking up a contractual opportunity, a contract opportunity basically means that you are being employed to provide your services to that organization for a specific duration of time. Okay, that duration of time can be anything from as short as 1 month period to as long as a year or 2 years. Okay, so they definitely are staggered in terms of the times that you can get for the duration of that particular contract. Whereas if you're taking it up on a permanent basis means you're basically in that organization to provide your services, but the time duration is not stipulated. Okay, so you are taking on that opportunity over a permanent basis, over a long-term basis. Essentially, the key difference between taking a permanent role and a contractual role is the length of time that you're actually assigned to that organization. So let's talk about some of the key considerations to think about before you go ahead to make a decision. First consideration to think about is job security. Now, obviously, doing a contract means that you're there for a short period of time, okay, a specific duration of time. In most cases, from my experience, a lot of accountancy and finance roles will typically have a duration of anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, okay, where you're taking on that particular contractual role and you're going to be with that organization delivering on a particular set of tasks or a specific project over that 3 to 6 month period. Now, if you're taking a permanent job opportunity, in most cases, you are taking it on, but with no set time frame. Now, permanent job opportunity doesn't mean that it is, until the end of time. It just means that you or the organization are not fixated on when that particular opportunity comes to an end. You might decide to leave at some point during the permanent contract, or the employer, for whatever reason, might decide to still terminate that particular contract. If job security is something that's of paramount importance to you, then you might want to consider going for a permanent role. But let's talk about consideration number 2. Consideration number 2 is the remuneration, okay, or the salary and payments that you get. Now, this is always an interesting one. As a contractor, a lot of the time, contractors will typically earn a lot more, okay, than those who are doing the same job opportunity but on a permanent basis. Now, I think there's a lot of things to consider here, okay, when it comes to how much you can get paid taking on a contractual accounting or contractual finance role, okay. Some of the things that you need to consider is how in demand are those particular skill sets that you have, okay, to the employers. The more in demand they are, the more likely that you're going to get a lot more money, okay. So people can easily earn anywhere from £500 per day right up to, I don't know, 800, £1,000 per day doing a contractual finance role. If you were to take up that job opportunity on a permanent basis, you might not necessarily get paid the same amount, but of course there are other benefits to think about when it comes to taking up a permanent role. Next consideration to think about is job variety. Now, if you're someone that easily gets bored, then a permanent role might not exactly be what you want, because in a permanent role, you're kind of pretty much doing the same thing over and over again, broadly speaking anyway, with a little bit of job variety here and there. Whereas in a contractual role, I think because of the very nature of the role being contractual, okay, it's short, it's quick, and you're doing those projects or those tasks for a specific duration of time, it gives you the opportunity to not only apply for a different contract, within the next 3 to 6 months, which gives you an opportunity to, see and experience another role in a different light, in a different company entirely, using a different set of skill sets in some cases. Okay, taking up a contractual role gives you that opportunity to be able to take on a variety of different tasks, a variety of different projects. Okay, particularly if you're going from different contracts into different organizations. Considerations to think about is the job application process itself. Now, in my experience, applying for contract roles is a lot more straightforward, if I'm being very honest. Okay, provided you have the experience, you've done something similar before, the application process is generally a lot more informal. By that I mean, if you were to find that job, usually through using a job agency of some sort, once you're invited to the interview, you kind of have a pretty good chance of getting the job, okay? Provided you're able to answer a lot of the questions that they ask, which are generally informal questions. A lot of the time, the interviewer simply wants to know, can you do the job? They're not going to go around a whole complicated cycle of asking you all sorts of different competency questions. They might ask you some technical questions just to see and check your understanding that you know how to do the work. Okay, so it's usually all about, have you done the work before? If you have, there's a very good chance that you will get the job. Now, if you compare that with someone who is applying for a permanent accounting and finance job opportunity, the process is a lot more complex, okay? Not only do you tend to have a lot more competition because it's a permanent role, but also the application process is a lot more tedious, okay? You have assessment tests, you might have, competency interviews, stage 1 interviews, stage 2 interviews. It's a lot more complicated and it's a lot more tedious. So this is definitely something else you might want to consider. Next consideration are the job benefits. Now, the job benefits that come with doing a contractual finance role versus doing it on a permanent basis are quite different. Okay, so as an example, if you're a contractor, you can't call off sick. Okay, well, you can, but you just won't be paid for it. Okay, so if you're someone that's in a contract role and you're earning, say, £300 per day for that role that you're doing, if you're off sick that day, you are not going to get paid. Okay, so that's minus 300 for that particular day. So it's something you need to think about, and you do need to be mentally ready for the challenge that comes with taking up a finance role on a contractual basis. Now, if you compare that with someone who's in a permanent role doing an accountancy or finance job, a lot of those benefits you do get. You get paid when you're sick because you get sick leave, you get paid when you're on annual leave, all of those things, which you don't usually tend to get if you're a contractor. So you must factor this in if you're someone who's thinking of going into a contracting role. Next consideration to think about is career progression. Now, if you're someone who career progression is something that is of key importance to you, then doing a contractual role might not exactly be the best for you. It really depends, okay? So if you're taking up a contractual job opportunity in finance, for instance, it will be up to you to plan what kind of contracts you're going to take and how that can develop the skills you need to help you keep advancing, okay, even though you're taking on those jobs on a contractual basis. The fact that you're not in control of what contracts necessarily come up, it's a bit hard to determine, okay? And also, you're not in control of the length of time those contracts are going to be on for. So how long is it going to take you to develop those skill sets? How long is it going to take for you to actually get enough experience to be able to progress onto the next level? There are different ways you can still progress your career if you're taking on contractual finance roles. Now, if you're taking a permanent finance role, it is assumed that through the process of having a permanent staff in place, okay, your career development is going to be enveloped into that process. So through your one-to-one meetings, through your personal development plan, all of these things are already factored in. Obviously, you will still have to talk to your manager about the kind of experience and the skill sets that you want to develop as part of your career progression. Next thing to consider is the networking opportunities. Now, the networking opportunities that you get when you're in a contractual role can be quite different from the ones you get when you take on permanent job opportunities. The reason I say this is because when you're in a contractual role, I feel like you get exposed more quickly. Okay, you're moving on from contract to contract, possibly even organization to organization. So it is very easy for you to build up a network of contacts. You know, if you're working in organization X, for instance, there might be someone there who can easily recommend you to another job opportunity or another contractual opportunity at another organization. Okay, so I feel like word gets around quite quickly when you're in a contractual role if you're good at what you're doing and the skill sets that you have is in high demand. Another thing is that when you're in a contractual role, a lot of the time, the agency that you're working on will generally have, you know, jobs that are literally going round the clock. Okay, so when you're in a contractual role, most of the time, when that contract is about to end, you already have an agency or a few other agencies that are reaching out to you to say, hey, you know, when's your contract ending? There's another contract I've got for you, etc., etc. So I feel like because of the networking opportunities that being in a contractual position offers, it also makes it quite good if you're someone who is keen on developing your networks, you know, within the industry, for instance. And also that can actually be something that helps you develop quite quickly, you know, as a professional. I'm not saying that taking on a finance role in a permanent capacity does not give you networking opportunities. I just feel like it doesn't give you as much of a chance to have the depth of networking opportunities that comes with taking on contractual roles. That's been my personal experience, but that's just what I think. So hopefully these tips have been very helpful for you. If you want to work with me on a one-on-one basis, please use the link directly in the description box below. If you have any further questions, please do let me know in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to like this video. Make sure to share this video with someone else who you think might benefit from it. And remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications. I will see you in the next video.